Spaces. My name is Guguletu Mahlangu, and I'm going to be your co-host if our host gets here very soon, Ipeleng Kwadi. I see one of our speakers is here. Opatile is here. We're just waiting for Diana and Calvin. So if we could just maybe give them 2 minutes. Oh, our host is here. Perfect. If we can just give them 2 minutes and then we will start the show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ipeleng Kwadi, and welcome to the Farm Spaces. If you are a first-time listener, let me take this opportunity to welcome you all. Farm Spaces is a network of farmers all over our continent that connect farmers. In short, this is where we invite different farmers to share exciting farming methods. In fact, this is the place to be every Monday and Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m., right here on Twitter. Once again, my name is Ipileng Gwadi, a cattle farmer from the Northwest Province. I am based in Brettstown on the R511 farms towards Tabazimbi. I'm not alone. I'm with the producer of the show, Guguletu Mahlangu. She's a horticulture farmer and she's doing amazing things in the industry. Not forgetting our regular listeners, once again, thank you so much for the support. Today, we have the most vibrant topics ever. You know, the farm space team always make sure that they bring topics that will bring a development into the farming community. And our topic for today is financial farm records, record keeping. Tonight, we are bringing our guests, our first guests. I don't see her, but her name is Mediana Tlatswayo, who is a chartered accountant. Accounting for agriculture, farming, and rural business is a specialist area that requires expertise and an understanding of the industry. You know, most of the farmers love farming and not accounting. They own their businesses and recognize that they need some basics accounting know-how, but they aren't trained accountants and they don't know the ins and outs of evaluating a business, tax filings and bookkeepings. That's why we need people like Mehla Swayo. If she's around, welcome Mehla Swayo. She's our first speaker. And our second guest, ke Ntate Opatile Kilobang. He is a software developer by a profession and a third generation farmer. Although he grew up in a city, he spent most of the school holidays in a farm, planting maize or beans at the cattle post tending to the livestock. His main aim is to use technology to enhance the farming experience and boost productivity. Welcome to the show, Rekelobang. And our third guest, Mr. Kelvin Odobo. He's an agripreneur. Agripreneurs make agriculture attractive and profitable business enterprise. Agriculture possesses great scope for entrepreneurship through effective management of agri-elements such as water, seeds, soil, and market needs. Welcome to the show, Mr. Odobo. The record-keeping farmers is a valuable tool for traceability and growing your business by securing finances. Let me take this opportunity to give our speakers the time to do their presentations. I can see Mr. Opatile is already here on the floor. I'm going to open the floor later after their presentations. Rekelubang, Wamukhetwi, the floor is yours.
Dumelang, thank you, Ipeleng. I so wish that our first speaker would have been here as a chartered accountant. It would have been nice.
Hi, Opatila. I am here. Hi, everyone.
Oh, you are
I am
here.
here.
Okay,
Yes,
awesome. You may take the floor. My apology.
So you would like me to go first then? That is fine.
Yes.
Sanbonani, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to come speak today. I think this is quite an important topic, really for small businesses, especially small, sort of small farmers. So I'm actually I'm excited to be speaking here today. And as our host mentioned, that a lot of farmers really enjoy what they do, and they enjoy the bits that have to do with the operations, and so on, but nobody wants to look at the numbers and the accounting stuff, which is equally just as important, because that can either make or break your business. So I think these are definitely important conversations that we need to be having. And I'm sure a lot of you may be familiar, with I guess, the farm record keeping that deals with, like, your operations, like your inputs and animal feeds and livestock. And I don't know much about that, but I'm sure that's sort of the record keeping that most of you would be, I guess, familiar with. But what I'll touch on tonight is the numbers record keeping, which is just as important. And before I dive into sort of the detail, so what I'll be covering mostly tonight is just cash flow, and that being the lifeline of any business, and how record keeping can help you to manage your cash flow, um, and I suppose, as well as just, I guess, future outlook, and how that is impacted by record keeping. So briefly, cash flow is essentially the inflow and outflow of money from any business. It's the cash that is used for daily operations, for purchasing your feeds and any inventory, paying your employees, transport costs, and just those daily daily business operations, if I can say so. It's quite a crucial part of any business, and really you cannot move forward without that. And so, with that being said, it is quite important to have a very good view of what your cash flow looks like at all times, whether it's today, or whether you're looking at your cash flow for the next month, or next year. So it is quite important to just have a view of what that looks like, and whether or not you will be able to meet your business needs, or your daily operational needs, as they sort of come through. So that just with that said, record keeping is one of the key sort of tools that one needs to stay on top of, in order to be able to get that view of how you're spending your money, and the money that is coming in. So I'll just sort of go into the bookkeeping itself, which is, briefly described, is just the process of tracking all of your company's financial transactions, to see exactly where you're spending your money, to see where money is coming in, and you'll be able to then just use this to, I guess, to put together your documents, whether it is for tax purposes, or whether it is just to see the financial performance of your business. And one of the important points, really, of keeping, or of bookkeeping, is, one day you want to go out there to lenders, in order to be able to fund your business. And the one thing that all banks will ask for is is essentially your numbers, and what that looks like. So it is quite important that everybody just keeps track of all of your expenditures, and the money coming in and the money going out. And it also helps you to just catch mistakes. If you're not keeping track of the invoices that you're paying out, it's very possible to pay suppliers twice. If you're not checking those invoices sort of on a weekly or monthly basis, it's quite possible to miss errors like that. So I definitely encourage that. And if we look at sort of the detail of record keeping, and what that looks like, for I guess, for small businesses, sometimes you fall into the trap of mixing your business and personal expenses together, especially if you sort of don't have like separate bank accounts. So it is quite important, you know, that you are keeping your expenditure very separate between what is for business and what is for personal, especially for, you know, for tax purposes, and also for, I guess, in order to be able to see the real performance of your business. And I guess if I just go into the bookkeeping system, because you've got your transactions, or your daily transactions that are going in and out, and I guess you may want to know exactly what you need to be recording, and what you not need to be recording. And personally, I would recommend that you record everything, because I think that is the best way that you will be able to get real insights into how your business is performing. And basically, what is also very important is to make sure that you are recording your your expenditures and your incomes sort of in the right period. So, you know, you may be tempted to just do your bookkeeping every 6 months, but it is quite important that the expenses that you are earning in 2021 are being recorded into the books of 2021, and that they don't sit in a different period, you know, because if you are producing those sort of financial statements for banks, or to ask for lending, you need to basically have an accurate view of how much you made in a particular year, and how much you spent in a particular year. So that's quite important. And in terms of keeping the documentation itself, I would absolutely recommend, you know, that you keep track of all of your detailed purchases invoices. So maybe our second speaker will touch on in terms of what that may look like in terms of just the tools that one can use. But in terms of capturing the numbers itself, the numbers themselves, you may want to start with a basic Excel. And this really depends on how big your business is and how detailed and how much information you have. You may be able to just get away with a quick Excel to record your daily transactions, or you may want to look at a tool like QuickBooks, or something like that if you've sort of got more complex accounting going on in there. So those are the tools that one can probably look into using. And in terms of your documents themselves, you may choose to, I guess, keep them sort of manually, maybe in a box or in a cabinet or something like that. But just as long as you have them. But personally, I would recommend sort of using like a digital tool to keep all of your invoices, so that you've got access to them at all times. And I mean, I know it's very hard, and it's a bit of a boring task, but I think it's something that, you know, if you do want to have a successful business, you just have to make it a habit. And if you're doing it yourself, just commit to it, set some time apart, whether it's every week or every month, to just do your books, put together the numbers in an Excel, keep the documents safe, or scan them into your computer and keep them sort of, you know, digital. And if it's a lot more complex, then you may look into hiring maybe somebody to do that for you, or getting an accountant. But I definitely think it does depend on the level of information that your business is getting sort of on a daily basis. You may wish to get someone else involved in that. So I think it's probably just a personal choice about the size of it, and how much you know, needs to be done. But it's certainly something that definitely needs to be done for any business to be successful. I will stop there for now, and hand back to our host.
Thank you so much, Metlatswayo. We need more women like you. I mean, you are representing us very well. You know, in the front row of money, we need more women. Farmers are very busy. We always want someone to hold accountable for our finances. But the most important thing is to run our farming business smart and keep it growing. Hope farmers will follow you, Metlatswayo, for future use. I'll keep on making example with our farming business model, cattle farmers will be fortunate because I'll keep on touching there and there. Before I allow our second speaker, Gugu, may you please turn one of our speakers? I can see he's a listener. Please check while our second speaker is making the presentation. It's very important to keep the records in our farming business. In our cattle farm, our records management book is divided as follow. You may take notes if you like. We just divided our management book. Number one, we've got our bulls records. Number two, we've got our hivers records. Number three, we've got production records. Number four, we've got calves records. Number five, we've got health records. And I will brainstorm them during the show. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm Ipile Nkwadi, and let me allow our second speaker. The floor is yours, Re Opatile.
Hi, Pilen. Thank you. Thank you, Metlatswayo. I'm actually quite happy that you touched on the technical aspects of the accounting side, because myself, I'm not an accountant, so I wanted to give you that space to, to lay it out from a financial aspect, because when it comes to the business side, this is where most farmers neglect the sort of procedural necessities, because we want to grow our farms, but how do we do that? You ask a bank for money to say, look, I've got collateral, but at the end of the day, you can't actually produce the numbers that you're making. And this is one thing that farmers take for granted. So I'm happy that you managed to lay that out in terms of from a financing perspective. So basically, what I wanted to speak about was to give practical examples for farmers, because as farmers, as you said, what happens is that we love the production, we live for it, we thrive on it. But ask a farmer, how much is your farm really worth? And 9 times out of 10, they really can't answer you, because you invest money, you buy a bull today, you buy 10 heifers today, and at the end of the day, you've got 300 heads of cattle, but you really don't know how much they're worth, because you don't know how much you're putting in and what the projected outcome is. So it's the same with chicken producers. um a lot of Twitter users that I've been following are chicken farmers, but really, if you ask them the mortality rate, are they really calculating the mortality rate? And this boils down to compliance issues as well. The EU markets, because we cry and say, how do we get access to markets outside of our borders? you know um Record keeping really stems down to compliance, because when you want to tap into European markets, for example, you need to be calculating your mortality rates. You need to be showing your vaccination schedules. You need to be showing these things, because at the end of the day, what happens to you is that if you cannot produce these, you cannot be compliant. So, from a record keeping aspect, this puts you as a farmer at the forefront of your competitors, because you've got the records, you've got your vaccination schedules, and you're able to calculate your mortality rates, which means that at the end of the day, you are less likely to be selling them infected, with the bird flu and I forgot the name of the strain of the virus now. But it shows that you're not in a bracket where you are producing animals that are subpar. And from a sort of a high level overview, you personally are able to look at how much you're spending on feeds. You're able to calculate your daily feed rations for your chickens, and it also puts you in a position to actually value your product. So, for example, if you're producing 100 chickens with, let's say, 5 bags of feed, from starter to grower to finisher, and you've bought them at, let's say, 4,000, you're able to competitively estimate how much you can, how much profit you can make on sales without actually affecting your bottom line. So if a farmer A is selling that product at 50 rand, for example, he's probably producing an amount of 500 chickens, and the feed estimate, the ratio boils down to maybe 5% of the profit margin. So you can't compete if you've got a lower number and you're actually producing to the point that you want to say, I want to compete with this farmer, but your feed costing is actually higher than the next farmer. So from a record perspective, this actually advantages you to say that in terms of costing, I can price my product at this much because I'm spending this much on feeds. The same with cattle production. So what happens with cattle is there's a compliance sort of government regulated tagging system. It's universal. I think it's a European standard. It's called LITS, the Livestock Identification and Traceability System. From this perspective, half the job is already done for you, because when your animals, um when you have calves, for example, they come of age, and then you put the tags on them. You put the breed, the location, and then you put in the farmer, or you as the owner, and the brand mark. You're already compliant when you've got this system. Now, let's say you're a farmer who doesn't use the lid system. You just have your cattle, your cattle in your kraal at home. And how do you, as a farmer, then record your productivity? Because from a profit sort of standpoint, you're already disadvantaged, because what happens is that you run the risk of having a subpar sort of uh, uh, livestock breed, because your stock becomes prone to inbreeding and genetic defects. So how that works is that you won't know when to rotate your bulls, for example. You won't know how much you're spending on salaries, how much you're spending on feeds, how much you're spending on what is it, on petrol, or let's say you need to do repairs to your kraal, and other such things. So from this perspective, as a farmer, the tools that you would most likely need are not complex. From some of us are fortunate to have experience in, or knowledge in writing software applications to assist in these sort of things. But really, what we should be doing is just looking at simple tools such as Excel, either regular paper, or using CRMs, or even Google Sheets. These things are crucial to record births. When your cows have births, and your feed costings, put these into an Excel sheet. And even if you have 10 cows, put these into an Excel sheet and actually look and ask yourself, okay, if I've got 10 cows today, I've got 8 births. You're able to estimate from just a high level perspective to say, look, if I go on this path for the next 3 to 5 years, I could have maybe 30 heads of cattle, and I could actually sell those rotatable and then get a better breed of stock. And this is just a sort of a basic example of income projections that you can do yourself based on Excel. Never mind the inbreeding issues. It just actually gives you the perspective to look at your farm and say, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm waking up every morning, I'm going to my farm, I'm feeding my chickens, this is how much I'm spending. And after 6 weeks of feeding my chickens and vaccinating on day 18 and day 22, I'm spending 200 rand on my vaccines. you know this is how much I stand to make if I sell at X amount, you know. And from a financial perspective, it gives you peace of mind because you're not throwing money in a bucket. And this is the most important thing that you as a farmer can do. You know, if you'd like me to repeat some of the tools that I mentioned, I'm happy to do that. You know, we can open the floor later, but I wanted to give practical examples, you know, from based on chicken production and cattle production. You know, this is my area of expertise. So, you know, if maybe you have questions about other aspects of farming, you know, I'm sure that we can ask the host and our guests to elaborate further on that if they've got the knowledge and expertise. So that's basically my presentation for you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rekilobang. I will open the floor for the questions after our last speaker's presentation, Mr. Odobo. Guguletu, can you check our next speaker? Okay, now I see. Thank you so much. I normally tell people that farming is diverse. You don't need to be on the primary level to be on the value chain. You make a research of your interest and add value to the chain. Indeed, there is so much talent in Africa. It excites me so much to see more young farmers in the industry. Always keep in mind that farming is a business, and please don't compromise that. If you don't get it right, go network, get into the network with other farmers, ask questions. You know, farmers, they make friendship easily. They are going to assist you on how they do their models. Now, keep in mind that cattle farmers needs to know the following. Number one, like Regelobang has mentioned, you need to know the number of your cows. How many males and how many females. Make no mistakes about that. Number two, you need to know your breeding stock. As soon as they arrive in the farm, you must record them. It's all about record. Keep records. The birth weight, the date of birth, winning weight, farmers need to keep recording. Now, without wasting any time, let me call our third speaker, Mr. Odobo. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Okay, so my name is Kelvin Odobo, and I'm an agronomist by training. I've been working with small-scale farmers across Africa for about 15 years. Right from school, I've been working with small-scale farmers, mainly in the private sector, with the farm inputs industry, the farm advisory industry, and so on and so forth. And I've sort of worked with lots of farmers, both in the crop and livestock sector. And there's one thing that most farmers believe and know, that they can make money out of farming. Most farmers fail because of this or the other reason. And the interesting thing is, from the experts, they'll always tell you that the solutions to most of the farmers' problems actually exist, largely. The challenge is usually, how does the farmer in one area of a country connect to a solution to the other side of the country, or even outside the country? And personally, out of this frustration of probably supporting a farmer to do everything right, and they get one thing wrong and then they lose it all. And this is where the frustration comes from, for me to come up to move out of basically supporting farmers, working with companies, into founding an organization that can help farmers to basically succeed. So this is how I came up with my startup called shambapro.com. We'll probably talk about it later. So getting straight to the point, why should farmers keep records? I'm lucky to have spoken after an accountant and a tech guy, you know. So basically, they've made the work easy for me. So I just have to talk about the farmer side. So farmers, if you want to start the farming industry, one, you must know your market. You must research your market. You cannot depend on newspaper articles to tell you whether you're going to make money or not. If you're going into the cattle or beef industry or milk industry, the worst you can do is at least find out what is the price of milk on the market. what is the price of beef on the market? Is there a shortage of beef or milk on the market? If you're going into horticulture, passion fruits or apples, is there a shortage? Is there an existing market in your local area, around you, or within the country? Or is there an export market? And that simple thing, each and every potential farmer should be able to do it on their own with some advice or with some consultation. After getting proper information, identifying an opportunity, then you move into the planning section. The planning section is basically, how am I going to achieve the target that I'm trying to achieve? How do I start small, learn along the way, and grow big? Do I invest $1 million on day one, or do I invest $5,000 and then move across as I learn? Remember that farming, as much as you know so much, you need to learn as you go along. So basically, so there's a planning, and then after you've done your planning and you know your market very well, you've decided to start probably a beef farm or something of the sort, then the next much important thing is you need to set up your systems. If you are a single farmer without workers, the burden of keeping records is on you. If you have workers, we have a farm manager, then the burden is on you to set the systems for your workers or your farm manager to be able to do their records early. If it's a small farm business, you may get away with doing your records, taking 5 to 10 minutes in a day to put down your records, and that will be adequate. If your farmer is a little bit larger, going towards commercial, you need to record things as they happen. As one of the speakers before me said, the best way to keep your records is to record them as they happen. Now, in general, again, we've talked about a lot of accounting detail and tech detail. I'll just go straight to the farmer detail. There are two types of records. One is the non-financial records. I think the lady before me just mentioned some of them. Beef records, health records, physical and identification records, breeding records, if it's crops, spraying records, if it's animals, probably how many cows do you have, which variety for crops, which I forget the word. So you need to understand what is on your farm at any point. If you are producing something, how much are you producing on a daily basis? How much is going out or how much is coming in? If you're investing money into your farm, when are you investing? How much are you putting in? So there's non-financial records that you need to keep together. And then you have now the financial records, which to a simple farmer's understanding is basically, you need to record all money that is coming into the farm. Money can come in form of sales. You've sold something, you've sold an asset, or you've sold produce, or you've invested money into your business, or you've got a grant into your business, or you've borrowed money into the business. And then the outputs, either you've spent money to buy a farm input, to buy some breeds, to buy some, sprayers, to buy land, to construct a structure. Basically, you're spending money on things that are coming in. And spending money, basically, you could be spending on an expense, or it could be an asset. So those are the basic sort of kinds of records that you need to put down at any time. And the best way to do this is to do it as soon as it happens. As soon as you train your farmers or your workers to be able to keep the records as soon as everything happens. When you lose, if you're into poultry, if you lose 10 birds, you need to record, I've lost 10 birds. For what reason? Were they slaughtered? Were they sick? Is the reason not clear? Then probably you need to bring in an expert to investigate why you lost 10 birds. If you don't record that you lost 10 birds, then you'll never know that you have a big problem that is going to explode on your farm after 1 month. So by keeping your records early, then you know that you can identify problems when they are small, catch problems when they are young, and solve problems. But why should we waste our time to do financial records in the first place, or farm records? I'm assuming that most of you are going into the farm business for the main purpose of making money. If you are going to make money, you need to know if your business is going towards profit or loss. How will you know whether you're making profit or loss? How will you know the health of your farm? If you don't feel well and you go to a doctor, you'll tell the doctor, look, I have a headache, probably have a running stomach, I don't feel nice, I get so much tired. You're trying to find the state of your health, and the doctor will do some tests and tell you, look, I think you have malaria, or I think you're tired, I think you're stressed, you need to take a rest, or you just dehydrated, you need to take a little bit more water. How do you check the financial health of a farm? The best way and the most verifiable way to check the financial health of your farm is through farm records. You need to know if you're making more money that you've put in, or if you're losing some of the money that you've invested. And from that, you will know that, okay, I'm losing money in this enterprise specifically, then I need to go zero down on this enterprise and find out, why am I losing money? Am I spending too much funding on management than it's required? Or am I investing so much in inputs? Or am I overfeeding? Or am I feeding the wrong feed? You're able then to identify that, well, this is the cause of my problem. And, do you want to maximize profit? Why do you need to cut your costs? What do you need to improve in more investment? So basically, the farm records help you to be able to gauge the financial health of your farm at any point. And probably that's very important. And you can do that by keeping records, basically those records which you take immediately as events happen, the activity production records, and as well as the financial records, keeping the source documents. If you're the kind of person who is receiving invoices or issuing invoices, you need to keep this and then add an extra layer on the original source documents with some digital form of record that cannot be lost easily. You could be a farmer using a beautiful exercise book, and then as you're moving on the farm, it falls into the cow dung and you lose all your records. So it's important to back up your data with some form of digital record. My colleagues have mentioned a lot of opportunities, of tools like QuickBooks, like Google Sheets and so on. So at Shamba Pro, with all this kind of frustration that we had, where we were saying, look, farmers just know that they can make it, but then sometimes they're not sure why they are not making it. We decided to start from the beginning. We are trying to build a digital agriculture platform that will help farmers to be able to access suitable agriculture finance, not necessarily with physical assets. Banks do not like to finance farmers because they don't understand farming. Two, if you go to the bank and you start telling them emotional stories or how you love your farm or your farm is improving, the bank cannot lend you money based on that. The bank needs to see your financial records. They need to see your statements, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, your income statements. They want to see verifiable evidence of your farm activities. Do not be surprised that a bank sometimes will finance you even if you're making losses, as long as you have records with your farm and they see that there's a trend. Unlike a successful farm that doesn't have records and cannot prove that it's successful or it's viable. So this is why we came up with this simple tool called the Shamba Pro app, which a farmer is able to record farm activities and farm transactions as they happen. He can train their workers to use it and keep this data, and wherever they are, they can generate financial statements and check the health of their farm businesses and make sure that they are on the right track. So it's a tool, basically, that is helping farmers to do some of their work. It is not replacing the effort that a farmer should put in, basically, to make their records. Remember that, again, this is a business. You need to be disciplined to do your records. A lot of people don't like to do records, but you have to be disciplined. I was reading somewhere today, I read something like, discipline is the art of doing the right things, even if you don't want to do them, because you know you need to do them anyway to succeed in your farm business. So our tool is basically helping you, the disciplined farmer, to maintain your records in a digital way where you will not lose them easily and be able to check up on whatever is happening on the farm. There are many other features in the app that when you look into, you'll discover. But the core of this is that, first of all, a farmer should keep accurate financial and non-financial records of their farm as the basis of knowing whether it is even worth it to invest in a farm business or not. I think for now, let me stop there and allow the host to continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Farmers, we record information of people who even come in our farms. If you are not recording small things in your farm or in your business, you must start now. This is the good time to start after the show. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Odobo, and other speakers as well. Very informative. I see most of our speakers have touched the livestock records. I believe horticulture farmers will also share their record management. If you have just joined us now, I'm Ipile Nkwadi and welcome to the Farm Spaces. We are talking farm records. Important records in a farm may include vaccination records. We do have different vaccinations according to our season. We also record the dipping. We do dip our animals, and I think most of the livestock farmers will tell you that we dip less in winter and we dip more in summer because of ticks and flies. Another program of dehoning, when every time when you dehorn your livestock, we do record. Farmers use different types of methods for dehoning, so you may refer to other farmers for the best methods. When your goats or your cows are injured, you must keep the records of everything performed. Example can be the injections or the antibiotics, depending on what's wrong with the livestock. Another interesting record that I never miss in our farm is intercalving period. This period, it's a period from giving birth till another time. It gives birth to another calves. It's a productivity of a cow, actually. And that is how I check if the cow has a slow production or it has a good production. So that is my favorite recording because I'm in a business, I need to be sure that this cow it's productive. So we record my other second favorite record is feed. Our speaker, Mr. Odobo, has highlighted the feed. You know, the feed is very important. We record cost of feed. In fact, even the feed spillage. I'm very strict on wasting feed. It because of the feed is expensive. That's my strength in our business. Actually, that is my duty. In our farm, I work with the nutrition of the animals. It is my duty to make sure that the animals are well fed. Especially when it's winter, it's a challenge for emerging farmers because sometimes the grass, the fires, there are fires all over our farms, and even the grass, it's not enough. It doesn't have enough vitamins, so we need to plan correctly our supplement plan. So even those things, those are not small. I record. I don't even want to see a spillage. You must be careful when you feed the chickens, or either you are feeding the cows. You must not spill because feed is very expensive, and I think all the farmers will tell you that we are really struggling with the feed. So I'm going to ask Gugu to take over to the questions, and I hope you are going to interact. We've got very important people on this session because I've got an interview at 7 o'clock. Before I leave, the main reason for keeping records, you are in a business. You need to know how much each cow or a goat or whatever is equals to a year, so that you can know the time when you are selling to see if you've made the profit. Once again, I said in farming, we are running a business, so you cannot afford to lose. So that's why you need to make the record. Once again, you need to go and check yourself and see where did you go wrong, like one of our speakers has highlighted. And Gugu, I'm going to ask you to host and work around the questions. I believe our listeners can't wait to ask our guests some questions, because I mean their presentations was out of this world. We are talking finance, we are talking about Microsoft, we are talking agripreneur. So it's very exciting. So I believe they can't wait to share, to ask our guest speakers some questions. And thank you so much, Gugu. I'm sorry I did not communicate with you, but I've got the interview 7 o'clock. Let me prepare. You may take over. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ipeleng, and thank you to our speakers. I'm learning as you guys were speaking, and I was really taking mental notes about the record keeping, because it's something that is time consuming. is something that you really don't think about because, as farmers, your passion is to be a farmer. That's what you want to do. So unfortunately, most of us are, small scale, so we really can't afford accountants. But the floor is open to the listeners. So if you guys have a question for our speakers, please, this is Farm Spaces, so you are most welcome to request to be a speaker so that you can voice out your questions to the speakers. I really feel like they have valuable information, so let us use that to our advantage. So thank you so much, speakers. Opatile.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to say, before we take questions, I had the opportunity to speak to Calvin earlier, Mr. Odobo, who was one of our speakers. Um, I feel as if he misrepresented, or he undersold what his app is actually about. You know, and I feel like let's give him just 2 minutes to briefly speak about what his app is about, and basically how we can add value to farmers, emerging farmers, and how they can, have a. Sorry about that, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. I was saying that let's give Mr. Odobo just 2 minutes to basically talk about his app. And sorry about that. I'm trying to call me as I'm talking. Um, let's give Mr. Odobo 2 minutes for him to speak about his app and where it's available, and where which countries of operation it's available in, and where farmers can download it. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And in the meantime, whilst Mr. Calvin is speaking, guys, the floor is officially open. So that means you guys can request to be speakers and ask your questions. All right, Mr. Calvin, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Opatilia and host, for that. When you're a guest in somebody's house in our culture, I'm Bantu, you don't overstay your welcome. So you don't want to over promote yourself. But again, thanks for the opportunity. So basically what we are doing is we are trying to give a tool to farmers to be able to record basically their records, non-financial and financial, on the go, right on the mobile phone where they are, to make it easy to be able to do it and fun. And also to basically what the app does is it's a farm management tool that allows farmers to, first of all, keep records, two, to collaborate with their farm manager and farm workers, or even farm experts who are remote. And we also adding on other features where you can even buy inputs and services. You can do some yield prediction and weather prediction, so on. But at this point, basically, we are doing collaboration of the farm team, where the farm owner is able to know what's going on at the farm at any point in time. And from the records that are coming in, they are able to generate instant downloadable reports wherever they are that can tell them how their farm is performing, what activities are going on, what activities are planned, what requests the farmers or the workers have done for them to do it. And it goes either for livestock or crop farmers. And we are working with farmers across the continent to try to build the specific features, like the production records for a cattle grower are not the same like for a passion fruit grower. And we're basically trying to put in all this. So you can go to shambapro.com. It's basically on my bio, shambapro.com, and click on download, and you're able to access this app. This app currently is available in South Africa, Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. I'm personally based in Rwanda. I'm actually Ugandan, and I was born in Kenya, so I'm a little bit of everything, and I've done a little bit of work in Southern Africa. So again, you're willing to come on, check, and then give your feedback. And just to clear, the app is free for now. It's free, so you're not going to pay anything to do all the things that I'm telling you that we are going to do. So if you have any other information, you can feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or on the website, and we'll be able to communicate further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Calvin. I'll be sure to check out your app because yeah, I think we have gotten the gist of today's topic. It is very important that we keep records. So, as a vegetable farmer, I really do not have that time to be, busy with. The only thing I'm interested about is my cash book and invoices. But when it comes to daily farm records in and out, records of farm implements and equipments, and records of the production, and records of the workers, and the sales records, and the yields, and how much I'm getting, a hectare, and just all that calculation. It's just a lot of work, and you must remember that if you are a farmer and you own the business, you are your own HR, you are your own accountant, you are your own boss, you are your own worker. It's just like a lot. So I think an app is something that can really, really help us to just jot everything down, plug it in there. And can I just ask, does your chart help us now do predictions? Does it give us charts of the historical data?
Okay, so basically for all the data that you're entering in terms of financial and non-financial, as well as activities, is available. We have a feature called Farm Reports. And when you go to Farm Reports, you can select any of the reports that you want, put the period, and then click on a button, and you'll have a PDF download, which you can print. So basically all the information that you've entered is available at any time. What we are soon trying to add is basically yield prediction using remote sensing, where we can say basically you are in Cape Town, this is the weather in this area, this is the activities. You probably experienced that downturn in production or an upturn because the weather was behaving like this. So basically you are combining the real data on the ground and the remote data to be able to make a decision that is more accurate to identify any problem or any upsurge in anything that is happening on the farm. Thanks.
Wow, that's great, Calvin. Thank you so much for such a great initiative. I'm sure that farmers will find your app very useful because currently everything's done manually. Winter and summer, we make sure that we do our ridges and we estimate. We do one ridge and we see how much we're gonna get, and then we multiply that for a hectare, and that's how we do our predictions. And that's like a lot of strenuous work. So if an app can do that for us, that's great. So guys, if you want to make your lives easier, please get a hold of Calvin and download his app and enjoy. Sit back and enjoy. Now we have a question from Rector. Hi, Rector.
Evening, everyone. I don't seem to have the best of connections, so I'm just gonna make it a bit brief. Is the connection is the app also available on iOS? Because it looks like it's only on Google.
Thank you for the question. Right now it's available on Google. It will be available on iOS and web app on 9th or 10th of September. So just follow us on Twitter. We'll notify you as soon as it's available on iOS and on the web app, so that you can, because some farmers again want to use their computer to enter data. So between 8th and 9th, it will be available on web app and iOS. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rector. I hope that answers your question. Guys, is there any other questions that you guys might have? I'm opening up the floor for the last time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to request to be a speaker and ask our speakers, because now's the time. I don't think after this record keeping conversation, we should be dealing with farmers wanting to know how to even source finances. Because if you're serious about getting funding, then you'll be serious about your paperwork. So I see that there are speakers coming through. So thank you for that, guys. I really want to make this session very interactive so that it's okay if we're making mistakes. We have experienced guests who are able to tell us what we're doing. if we're on the right track or not. So please feel free to ask questions. Right now we have Nova
Hello.
Farms. Hello. Hi.
Hello. Yes. Thank you, Gugu, and thank you, the speakers. Uh, so much learning this today. This is Becca Bakashava of Nova Farm, calling in from Uganda, and really glad to learn. Uh, and thank you, Patile, Kelvin, for the offer of the app. But I was wondering, are there any other tools, even just mere templates in Excel based or anything that farmers can access free of charge for the different enterprises, livestock, beef, dairy, horticulture, or anything that farmers can use to keep their records for starters, even before we go to the apps? Because I believe that if someone can't have the discipline to keep the manual or computer-based uh, records, it may actually be even a tall order to have the discipline for an app. So over to you. Thank you so much learning today.
Thank you so much, Nuvine Farms. And I think that's a very important point. You know, if we are not even writing it down, we don't have a book on the fields and on the kraals and stuff. What to speak of an app, you know? So I think maybe Diana, would you like to tell us of maybe templates we can use? Because you did mention Excel. Is there any other tools that you know of that farmers can use?
Thank you, Gugu. Wow. So, I mean, other than just from a financial background, honestly, I'm not quite certain if there would be sort of very helpful tools for like templates specifically for farmers. I must say, I'm just more familiar with sort of your basic income statements that one can probably find sort of via a Google search, as well as just using Excel and tailoring that specifically for your business. So I'm not sure, as Kelvin, as like a developer, if you may have seen such sort of templates out there that are specifically for farmers.
Hi Diana, can I take that question?
Of course.
Thanks. Sorry to cut you in there, Calvin. I had my hand up earlier. I just wanted to actually say, just before Novan Farmer asked this question, that you know, as an emerging farmer, the most daunting thing is having to use a template that's not ideal to sort of your farming situation. So the point I wanted to make was the best tool that you can use, really, from a novice standpoint, is Excel. Even if you go on the internet and use Google Sheets, the best thing that you can do for yourself is get an Excel spreadsheet and put it online, in the cloud, or on Google Sheets. And what happens is that with Excel, you are in charge of what data you put in. So if you decide that you want to put in the date of birth of your cattle, you want to put in the sex of the animal, you want to put in the breed, or you want to put in whatever other information that you want to put in, this is your personalized sort of record. And the nice part with Google Sheets is that it's always available in the cloud. You don't keep it with you on your computer. So should your hard drive die or your computer get stolen, you simply log into Google on another computer, go to Google Drive, and your documents are there. So this is the one important aspect that we shouldn't take for granted, is that besides any other tool, the most powerful tool that you can use is an online based cloud system like Google, Google Excel, Google Sheets, Google Docs, those sort of things. So that's basically the point I wanted to make before Novan Farmer asked the questions. That's why I was putting the laughing emoji. It's almost as if he was reading my mind. Yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Nova and Farm, for your interesting question as well. We do have Zazo. Hi, Zazo.
Hi, Google. Hi, everyone. So, I think mine is more uh, a comment around record keeping. I think, yeah, I hear about templates, Excel, and I also share one of the applications that I use for my Got Enterprise later on. But I think the most important thing is actually gathering the data, right? The most basic record keeping can actually happen with a pen and an exercise book. That's all you need. You need to ask yourself, what are the sort of things that I need to actually keep track of? And for me, I've asked each and every worker of mine to actually keep a notebook where, if there is anything that happens on the farm, I want you to record it. So if there's a goat that um for whatever reason is in discomfort, I actually want to know that there's a goat that was in discomfort at this time, and this is what they observed, and this is what they actually did to that goat. And if there's any intervention that we do in terms of medication, and anything else that should actually get captured, um, they actually write it in a notebook to say, I've administered heighted 200 to this animal, and I gave it this many milliliters, so that if you then go back to those records, you can actually see what has happened. And if you actually go in history, and look at each animal, you'd be able to track clearly what has happened with that animal. Is it inflicted or affected by diseases a lot? Are you spending a lot of money treating that animal? And when you compare it to other animals on your farm, what trend are you actually seeing? And all that can be done even through just writing notes in a notebook. And then in terms of an application that I use that I really like, and the free version has got lots of features as well. It's called um, Livestock, and then ED at the end. So that app is really great for me, and I've then coached my workers to then, they started off writing the stuff in notebooks, but now they actually capture the information directly onto that platform. It's both in an app, and it's also web based. So if you download the app, and you enter the information, it's available on all those platforms, and you can get access to it, and that really helps, especially when you've got a remote farming setup where you're not on the ground all the time, and you rely on your workers telling you what has happened with the different animals. So yeah. Lastly, for me, record keeping is like the basic thing that each and every farmer should do. You Like I said on my earlier tweets, you can't manage what you can't measure, and to measure um, stuff that you're doing on the farm is through record keeping. Most farmers would struggle to most livestock farmers would struggle to answer the basic question of, how much does it actually cost for you to raise this animal to its slaughter condition or position. And for me, that there's no excuse regarding that, because you if you're actually writing the stuff down, you can actually do the calculation and come up with the answer. Yes, there are um, the accounts that you can generate for the farm and stuff, but that's more advanced stuff that one, if you're not an accountant, might seem very daunting and stuff. But for me, record keeping shouldn't be daunting. It's actually capturing information that is happening on the farm, and that shouldn't be as daunting as it actually sounds. When you have that information, and you provide it to your accountant, they'll be able to actually do, to an accountant who can help you. They'll be able to then help you draw up these things that we're then calling income statements and balance sheets, that are more advanced type of financial records. So that's what I wanted to share from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zazo, for sharing your tips there. And I really agree with you that, most farmers really can't answer the basic financial aspects of their business, which is really problematic because we all are going to start small scale. But if we want to grow and we want to, start being or rather entering competitive markets, and I'm just going to speak from the horticultural aspect, we need to start be taking our business seriously. So record keeping shows that you are taking your business seriously. And I don't see any other questions, but I have one last question to our speakers. That when it comes to record keeping, for the purpose of financial institutions. So let's say I want a loan. Let's say, I'm ready to take my business to the next level. So I need capital. What are they looking for exactly? And let's say I can't afford an accountant. Diana mentioned earlier that it's just as simple as, your financial income sheets. But what exactly is it that we need to start documenting that is important for financial institutions? So any of our speakers, but sorry, I didn't say who I'm addressing the question to. So any of our speakers can take it.
Thank you, Gugu. I mean, I can briefly just note. So I mean, if you are looking for funding from, let's say, a bank, they would be interested to see how your farm has been performing, sort of within a certain period. So keeping track of your incomes over a certain period would be quite important, and your actual incomes, and not sort of estimates of what you think you've been making. So which is why it's quite important to be keeping those numbers in track, and then certainly be looking to find out what your expenditure is. So just keeping track of your production costs, employee costs, and these, it's quite important to also just keep these sort of expenditures separate, and just put them into different buckets, as opposed to lumping everything together and call it expenses. So when you are keeping your records and you are capturing the data on an Excel, I definitely advise that you just keep your sort of category of expenses separate from each other, so you know exactly what your employees are costing you, what your transport is costing you, as well as production, and rent, and stuff like that. So I'd say sort of just keeping track of your revenue, and your expenses. I can't imagine a bank would be too interested in like profit, but I'm sure they'd want to know what your cash flow is looking like, and that how much it's costing you to run your business, sort of the actual cash flows. Thank
Thank
you.
thank you so much, Diana. So I really did get answered there. And I don't see any further questions from our listeners. So I guess it's safe to say that, everyone has absorbed the information and is happy with the information they got. Um, so yeah, I think we can close our session. But before we do, I would just like our speakers to just maybe tell us where we can reach them, and where one can maybe text you or email you if they really want to get a hold of you.
Sure. So I mean, I think can reach me on Twitter, DM, or just a mention. My email address is dianahloni@gmail.com, if anyone does want to send an email. Yeah.
Thanks, Diana. So yeah, guys, you can just follow her and email her, because she's doing really amazing, and she can tell you what it is that your books need to look like in terms of finances. And Opatile.
My email is upatile@kilobang.dev. or you can follow me on Twitter. My DMs are open, so you can DM me anytime with any queries. Should you need assistance with any IT related stuff regarding, record keeping, or just Hela and J, or, I'm not very computer literate. Can you help me with setting up Google Docs, so I can have a template that I can record my livestock on it. I'm perfectly willing to help any other guys, looking to start formalizing the farms as a business. That's me. You can just catch me on Twitter, and then just DM me, or my email again. It's opatile@kilobang.dev. DEV. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Opatile. So you guys heard it, and if you have any queries or questions, he mentioned some interesting templates that you can get so that you can start formalizing your business to be taken seriously as a business, because farming is everyone's passion, but at the end of the day, we need to start looking at the longevity of our operation. I see we have a question here now from eConnector. Hi, eConnector.
Hi, Guguletu and the other guys. How are you?
We're good, thanks. How are you?
I'm okay. So my name is Blessed. I work at eConnector. I'm really happy that today we actually have a topic which is record keeping in farming, because okay, I don't want to be long, right? Because we're about to close the space. I just wanted to let everyone know that the eConnector, we actually developed farming softwares that are specifically made for, if you're in poultry, there's one that is specifically made for poultry farmers. So this will make your life way easier, because you have a space where you can just actually like record your eggs, space where you get to record whenever you buy your what is it called, that mesh, and basically a system that is specifically tailored for poultry businesses and other parts of farming. So yeah, if you want to check all that stuff out, you can go to our website or you can go to our Twitter account. Thank you.
Thank you so much, eConnector. Poultry farmers, here's the plug. Don't say we don't plug you. eConnector has just availed himself. So make use of all the opportunities available, guys, to really start growing. I think that's everyone's goal. And in as much as we spoke about how tiresome and tedious recording is, I mean, you're on the fields, all you want to do is just plants, and then the next thing you need to record how many bags you use of seeds. It's really important. I think our speakers kind of drove that home as to why it is important. So thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much to our speakers and to our lovely host, Ipiling. And thank you so
Google.
much to the listeners as well. Yes?
Just before you close, Calvin lost his speaking. I think he lost connection and he's not a speaker anymore. So
Oh,
just
okay.
yeah, I just wanted to pass his information to all the listeners. He's also on
Please
Twitter.
do.
If you look for his profile, it's Kelvin. That's KELVINODOOBO. That's Kelvin Odobo with a double O. That's at Kelvin Odobo. That's his Twitter handle. And then his email is kelvin@shambapro.com. That's KELVIN. Kelvin@shambapro.com. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Opatile, for that. And I'll also just maybe tag him after this so that if you guys would like to get a hold of him and his app is free, you guys can make use of that. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Diana. So thank you so much, Opatile and Calvin, and also Ipiling. I'll thank them personally after the space. So yeah, everyone, join us next week, Monday. On Monday, we're going to be doing beekeeping. So if you guys are interested in that, please do join us. And then next week, Thursday, we're going to be doing AI, artificial insemination. So it's really, really exciting. These spaces are for all of us to learn and grow and ask questions from the experts, people doing this, people who know what they're doing, so that they can help us. So thank you so much for availing yourselves, guys, and taking time out to really be on Farm Spaces. We appreciate you guys. And to everyone, good night and see you next week.